धन्यवाद
N.K. Premchandra.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Sir, I have come with a prepared draft speech to support the bill. And after hearing Pinaki Mishra, my learned friend, I'm also in utter confusion whether to support the bill or to oppose the bill. I think that the government will clarify the position. The Honorable Minister will clarify the position, then we will make up our mind. Why? Because as rightly pointed out by Pinaki Mishra ji, that if it is to invalidate the judgment of the Supreme Court, then the law cannot be said as a good law. Why? Because a benefit which is available to the retired judges, and that too at the age of 80 to 85 years, 85 to 90, 90 to 95, and even 100, and after that, the date by which the eligibility of the additional quantum of pension is available. That is the pertinent question to be discussed. In this case, it is from the date by which the judge entering into the age of 80 or after the completion of the age of the 80. That is the only simple question to be discussed, for which the Guwahati High Court has made a judgment. Against that judgment, an SLP has been moved by the Government of India in Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has rejected it. The SLP has been rejected means, as rightly as I'm subject to correction, I am also saying subject to correction. What his opinion is correct, then definitely this is a bad law that has to be reconsidered. That is my first point which I would like to make. Because invalidating a law passed by, that too through a mandamus or a judgment passed by the Supreme Court, is being nullified by this Parliament. That too the benefit available to the retired judges at the fag end of their life, not fair, not good enough to pass such a legislation. So that has to be reconsidered according to him. And I would like to speak about some points about the separation of powers. I'm not going to the details of it. Sir, regarding the separation of powers, so the power corrupts and absolute power corrupts. Absolute power tends to corrupt absolutely. And this is the basic principle by which doctrine of separation of powers is debated since long. Sir, the separation of powers was extensively discussed in the Constituent Assembly, but it was not given any constitutional status. Nowhere in the Constitution of India an explicit provision to deal with the separation of powers, except in Article 50 of the Constitution, that is Directive Principles of State Policy, where the separation of judiciary from executive is explicitly explained. Sir, I would like to quote Justice Frankfurter. He has said, I quote, enforcement of a rigid conception of separation of powers would make modern government impossible. Strict separation of powers is a theoretical absurdity and practical impossibility, unquote. This is a pragmatic version, I would feel, because separation of powers is a theoretical absurdity and practical impossibility in a modern government in the modern era. We know, I'm not going to detail all these things because the President of India, he is the executive head of the India, and he is also having the legislative powers when he summoned the House, and that means separation of powers in a rigid manner is not possible as far as the modern governance is concerned. That has to be kept in mind. The Indian perspective of separation of powers is the harmonious balancing of powers among the various organs. The functions and powers of the three organs are well defined and demarcated. All the three organs are supreme in their own spheres and have to act in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. For keeping this in mind, the Indian judicial system have a brick tradition of independent judiciary. Indian judiciary had played a very important, significant role in strengthening the democratic system of our country. The landmark judgments of our judiciary reform the democratic fabric of our country. So the credibility of Indian judiciary has high esteem once upon a time. But sir, it is quite unfortunate to say nowadays the credibility of the judiciary is now questioning from various corners. From various corners it is questioned. I can cite so many examples, I am not going to the examples. Sir, Parliament is the will of the people, and hence the legislature, Parliament is accountable to the people. The main question which I would like to pose is, the judiciary is accountable to whom? The executive is accountable to the people of India through the Parliament. The parliament and the legislature is directly accountable to the people of India because they are being directly elected from the people and they have to go back to the electorate for subsequent election. So the accountability of the judiciary has to be earmarked, that has to be defined. To the constitution in one sense. That is why I'm saying, I'm coming to the point because National Judicial Appointment Commission bills are, see, one of the landmark legislation that this government has done. I fully appreciate, the entire house appreciated. National Judicial Appointment Commission, what is the accountability? Is there accountability to the constitution? Because except 20 states have passed the legislation, both houses of the parliament has passed the legislation, the president has given assent to the bill, and it has become an act of the parliament. And after becoming an act of the parliament, 4:1, Supreme Court has struck down the judgment only on the basis that it is changing the basic characters of the constitution. So what is the logic in it? So whether they are committed as, pardon? Yeah, that is why I'm saying, sir, it is very clear how it is. That is why it is. I will. Sir, that is why it is being said by the Solicitor General and late Arun Jaitley, all that it is a tyranny of the unelected. That is the reason by which it has been made. Sir, the parliament and government should rise to the occasion to protect the legislative supremacy of the parliament. So I appeal to the government, please bring back the legislation. The National Judicial Appointment Commission should be brought back and it should be passed by the House. The government should have the political courage. The government should have the political will to pass again the legislation and to get it done. Otherwise, again, these things will go on. And similarly, in the case of, sir, one second, I will conclude it. And regarding the National Judicial Appointment Commission bill, the four members of the judiciary simply struck down the law means, what is their accountability? That means they are not in a position to have the will of the people. That is why I am saying that parliament, the will of the people have to be respected. Okay. So the judicial reforms, the need of the hour, I appeal to the government to come out with a comprehensive legislation so as to have the judicial reforms in our country. With these words, I conclude. Thank you very much, sir.
Krishna.
Minister has been making all the right. Supreme Court